Hey, welcome back, people. This is going to be Kent and Chris, and we're going to be talking about House of the Dragon, episode number 2, season 1, in Kenter at Your Own Risk, episode 28. So, I had a pretty good week, Kent. I hope you did too.
Well, yesterday was 9 Deuce, so it was, it was a good time. We had our very first 9 Deuce themed party at Sheila's.
That was 25 years, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure my calculations are actually kind of on point for once, I think. So, either way, it's the official 25th anniversary.
25 years of staring at your fingers.
Yeah, 25 years of being a jackass. It's, gosh, time flies when you're an idiot.
So who was there besides Sheila? I'm assuming since you were at her place.
Yeah, well, have you ever met Glenn? Her boyfriend?
No. The last time I was up visiting, when I actually saw her, Eric and Carrie came up while I was up there. She was still single, so.
Okay. Yeah, Glenn's a really solid dude, so he's fun. I'm trying to think. Craig, his wife and kids, Heather and the boys.
It's so weird to think of Craig as being married.
It's weird seeing Craig in dad mode, but it works on some level, so that's cool. My friends Tom and Kaylee, who I don't think you've ever met, Phil and Steve, Raylene was there, Ron, and I don't know, there was like 15 of us in total, so I don't know, I think I ran down everybody who was there.
Gotcha.
It was nice. And then, like, at the thing, like, somebody's like, did you even think to invite Jim? I'm like, no, but I'm fairly sure he was still away. But I was like, I'm not sure.
You should have been like, he didn't answer his blog questions for the week yet.
This is his punishment. No 9 Deuce for you, Jim. But yeah, no, it was a good time. It was weird doing a party at Sheila's while there's kids around. Because every time I'm there, I'm just used to it being an adult party, so it was like drinking and, I don't want to say debauchery by any means, but I mean, it was just, like, say whatever's on your mind, and here is like, kind of choose what you say.
Or you could just do what I do and realize after you've said it that, oops, there was a 6-year-old right next to you.
I tried being mindful. I went into it, I'm like, nope, I'm not even going to drink until the kids are gone. Then I was just like, no, I'm going to immediately start to drink. Not that I drank heavily by any means, but it was just something for me, because I'm never around kids, and kids kind of like freak me out a little bit. Mm-hmm. They intimidate the hell out of me, so I needed something to relax me just a little. So it was nice.
Gotcha.
But and that was it. Like, my whole week has been uneventful aside from that. Been working on the website, and I have to update it to a new PHP version, which I don't even know what the hell PHP is. I just know that you gotta update it every once in a while, like once or twice a year. And before you do that, you're supposed to back up the site. So I was like, oh, okay, no problem. Except the file to back up the site is 8.5 gigs or some nonsense like that. So I haven't done that yet, but I will, and then the website will hopefully run a little smoother. So
that's good. I just basically worked a bunch, caught up on House of the Dragon. I actually just watched the first 2 episodes of Lord of the Rings: Ring of Power tonight, and it was better than I was hoping. So that's always good.
Now, when in the story does this show take place?
Oh, see, that's weird because they're fucking around with the timelines. Like, they have from, like, 12,000 before, Lord of the Rings to, like, 2,000 before Lord of the Rings to play with, but they're kind of condensing stuff from both ends of that period into each other.
Okay.
Like right now they've got Elrond and Galadriel as like best friends, kind of. You know, like, so Hugo Weaving and Kate Blanchett from the movies.
Yeah.
Only in like real life, like Hugo Weaving is Kate Blanchett's character's son-in-law. So it's kind of weird to, you know, be best friends with like the mother of the woman that you're gonna marry.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, maybe Middle Earth is a little closer to Westeros than we thought.
It could be. It really could be. Yeah. I mean, good on that, I guess.
But I watched it with my wife, and, you know, she's into all of this stuff, not as much as I am. She dreads, like, every big vacation I take where I force her to watch the extended versions of all the Lord of the Rings movies. But, yeah, we finished watching it, and she's like, I'm intrigued enough to keep going. And I was, too. You know, I didn't quit on it like I did on the first 15 minutes of the Wheel of Time show. So that's good. Gives me some hope. And I actually really liked this week's episode, too. I think it might have been a little slower in more ways, but I'm hoping, I don't know if you looked at my answers to your questions, but I'm hoping we get like a Euron analog in episode 3 coming up, so.
I haven't read anything, but Euron has been on my mind, so to speak.
Well, one of the questions was, what do you think is going to be happening with the Kingfisher, or the Crabfisher? And I was like, I hope we get somebody just as entertaining as Euron was.
Yeah. Wait, is he the crab feeder?
Crab feeder, crab. He's got crabs.
Yeah. Good. Glad we both went to that joke. One thing I was wondering. All right. Since I don't feel this is a spoiler whatsoever, was Daenerys the first female ruler of the Targaryen bloodline? Or did they never cement that?
Yes.
Okay, so that basically spoils a large portion of the story in some way. Because, I mean, basically, doesn't that basically cement the fact that Rhaenyra is just never going to be the ruler, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why, you know, like, doing a prequel makes sense, but then there's no room to maneuver. I mean, you can't change history without changing the whole story.
Well, okay, so yeah, that was kind of in my mind of why I felt like, I hate to use Star Wars as an example, but, you know, there were certain plot points that it had to hit, and much in the same way it was kind of handcuffed. This is kind of handcuffed because in some ways they're trying to run this whole, you know, sweet, innocent, badass Targaryen girl on a quest for this or that or the other, but, I mean, what kind of payoff is there going to be at the end for her?
Well, like, a lot of it so far is just a bait and switch, because it seems like, you know, if you don't know what's going on in the background, and you haven't read the book, and you don't know the history, you know, it seems so far like the big thing is going to be Rhaenyra versus, you know, Daemon, you know, or Viserys versus Daemon, you know, they're the two. But the main focus is going to be whenever we get the time skip, and it ends up being Rhaenyra versus her younger brother.
Right, and that's Aegon, right?
Yeah, one of the Aegons.
Aegon the 14th.
So, I mean, you know, people are probably going in there expecting, oh, yeah, I really like Paddy Considine, I really like Matt Smith. Are they even going to be in season 2?
Oh, that's going... I mean, because Paddy, I feel, has really been one of the show stealers so far. He's been so good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him, too. I like his character. He's complex enough to be interesting without being, you know, so just a single idea of a character, you know, he's not just greedy or just lustful or just not paying attention to his daughter, you know.
Now, I mean, I know we just want to kind of delve into this, but I do have a follow-up question here. Was there any characters that we know of from Game of Thrones that was a continuation of Corlys's bloodline?
I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see the end of him. I was just kind of curious if there was any.
I mean, and again, if two families marry,
Sure.
if a Targaryen married a Valyrian, where it wasn't like the man and the woman, then that would just become a Targaryen bloodline.
Well, yeah, I mean, plus, I mean, we know of Lena?
Mm-hmm.
Lena? So, I mean, technically we have no idea who, well, I don't know who she eventually may or may not marry.
I don't either. I mean, I know things about, 4 or 6 of the characters in this series, and that's it.
Well, hopefully one of them is Mysaria, because I have questions that we'll get to.
No idea. Nothing. No,
Damn.
don't fucking know anything about her.
All right, let's do a recap here.
All right, so we open up with crabs. Lots of crabs.
No crab people, but just crabs.
Crab people. Yeah.
Actually, that whole scene was awesome. Right?
Yeah, I liked both the beginning and the ending where they showed it. It was, I mean, it shows you the stakes for that kind of shit. We're losing ships. Okay. You could, anything from, a little yacht capsizing to, what was the, I'm the Captain Now movie with Tom Hanks?
Was that Sully?
No. But yeah, anyway, you know which one I'm talking about.
Oh, wait, the pirate one, right?
Yeah.
Captain something. Captain Phillips?
Yes. And then we actually see it, and it's, dudes are being impaled to sunken ship masts and fed to the crowd. It's not wine and roses down in the sea lanes.
Yeah, it just gives me a whole different perspective on crabs and how much, they're terrifying now.
I mean, it makes sense when you see that kind of stuff, why they're an enemy in every single one of the Souls games.
That's right. That's right.
So then we go to the Kingsguard commander has died as well, and a new one must be selected. Corlys wants to go to war with the Crab Feeder, and the Council doesn't want to go to war with the Free Cities because they have a lot of money. The King says he's trying diplomacy, but I don't think we ever get an example of what he's been doing, or even if he's actually been doing something and not just trying to placate Corlys.
I have a quick question on Corlys.
Sure.
All right. So, as far as I can recall from Game of Thrones, I don't remember ever seeing a black character, an African American character, whatever. With is he supposed to have? Is that supposed to be gray hair, or is that like Targaryen hair? That's something I keep looking at.
It's supposed to be Valyrian hair.
Okay, so
like old Valyria, where they came from.
All races would have that same hair color. Is that how it is?
Well, I don't know enough, but I don't think Corlys was originally intended to be black. I think the intent was for all of the Valyrian characters to kind of look like the golden bronze skin tone with the white hair, kind of that they've suggested the Targaryens had.
Right.
And I know that was one of the decisions they made for diversity. Yeah. I don't think it's a big deal for this, but that,
I was just genuinely
question.
curious.
So I'm assuming that Valyria is kind of supposed to be like the old Numenor version from Middle Earth, we're or like Atlantis from our,
okay.
Like a more advanced place where people were just better. They had the dragons, and like he says, his family's from Valyria, and he was nobility, but they didn't have dragons. So instead of being able to just rule everybody, he had to claw for everything that his family had to claw for everything that they were able to get.
Right. I've really just genuinely enjoyed his hair game, so it's been in my mind the first 2 episodes. I'm like, I couldn't quite tell what the reasoning was, so I was just Yeah, genuinely curious.
So I'm going to throw us on a tangent for a second. Just a second, because you brought up hair game.
Okay.
If everybody doesn't know, Kent is very, very bald.
Alopecia since 1993.
And I keep my hair cut really short nowadays, or try to. I am balding, but I was sitting at work watching a camera the other day in one of our security hubs, and there's one of the cameras in both of the two hubs that we have. One focuses on each, so like if something happens in the one I was in, the people in the other one could see and call an alarm, and if something happens in the other one, we could see and call an alarm. So I could see from behind myself while I was sitting down watching the and I looked over and I'm like, holy shit, I didn't realize I was standing that badly on the top and the back.
A real humbling moment.
It really was, because when I keep my hair as short as I try to, you can't tell, but it got a little bit longer because I don't shave it every 2 weeks now, and I was like, oh man, yeah, I'm getting older. Anyways,
all right,
back to the House of the Dragon. Yeah, so I like to go along with. I like Corley's hair game too.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I miss his beard. I wish I could have a beard.
Oh yeah, that would have been awesome. I may have to make a new character in Elden Ring and model it after Corlys. I just might have to do this. Anyway.
So then we go to Rhaenyra suggests taking the dragons and burning the crab feeder up. And I'm pretty sure the dragons trump crabs in whatever world you go to. And then Otto and the rest of the council looks at her and is like, why the fuck is this woman talking? They're like, go pick out the new Kingsguard instead.
They could not have been more dismissive. I was just... It was a funny scene in just how ridiculously dismissive they were of the heir.
I felt bad for her. Like, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was hilarious and depressing simultaneously, but I was like, that's what you do to the heir to the throne. Really, guys? Like, you don't think she's not going to remember that? How dismissive? Like, you're never going to have any pull. In theory, like, if I'm one of those guys, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, she's eventually going to be the ruler. Maybe I'm not going to be a dick to her, but no, that doesn't cross anybody's minds, apparently.
Not only that, but it shows kind of like how, to be blunt about it, weak Viserys is, because he doesn't even, chide them on it. He just goes along with it. I'm pretty sure if, like, Tywin Lannister had seen that happen, people talk to, like...
To Cersei?
Oh, Cersei. Any of his children, like, or grandchildren like that, when they were the heir, they would have been, like, strung up on the outside of the Red Keep, their head next to Ned Stark's.
Yeah, Tywin would not have allowed that to go on. So, yeah, it does show a very different form of leadership, no doubt.
So then we go to her choosing the new Kingsguard. We got her dude with her. I forgot what his name is. Westerling.
Yeah, Sir Harold.
He's just got a badass voice too. I fucking love it. Anyways,
he's awesome. Yeah.
We see a couple dudes who've got like no real qualifications whatsoever. Oh, he caught a poacher on the way in, or an attempted poacher on the way. And then the one that she ends up choosing is Sir Criston Cole, the only one who's got real combat experience and happens to be good looking as well. So that probably helps.
Yeah, the handsome guy with war experience. Yep, you take that guy anytime, every time.
So then we get Viserys showing Alicent his model of King's Landing and his knowledge of history. He talks to her about Rhaenyra, who avoids him, and she says, I'm sure she would actually talk to you if you made the effort.
Right.
Basically, summing it up.
Yeah. But he also tells her not to speak of these talks.
Yeah. We don't know what people would think.
And then we get like this 6-month time jump, like, out of the blue.
I think it's supposed to have been a 6-month time jump from the beginning, and they just didn't establish that.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, you just do a time jump mid-episode? It felt kind of weird.
Yeah, they didn't bother to say, hey, it's been 6 months, and then this is the first time it's mentioned, so it seems weird.
So
but yeah.
Doesn't that make the whole scene even funnier now to think, all right, it's been 6 months later, and these guys, 3 scenes earlier were just so dismissive of the heir, and yet they all pledged.
Yeah, I mean, they pledged, and then they made her bring them drinks for the next 6 months.
I guess anytime you get to do that, you go for that, I guess. I don't know, yeah. That's just kind of, it puts things in perspective.
All right, so then we go to, in this scene where we figure out the 6 months, Alicent's talking with Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra suspects the council's trying to have her replaced, which, yeah, I mean, it seems like...
Yeah.
They pray and make wishes at a candle altar where she's like, I talked to my mom by doing this. They kind of clutch hands a couple times,
I didn't know that she was 15 in this. Like, there's no way the actress was... No, the actress was born 2000. They should have had a younger female playing... I don't know. She doesn't look 15 to me. She looks like an adult when I'm seeing this. I know I'm kind of splitting hairs over a few years, but...
I don't know. 7 years at that point is 33% of her life, so...
Yeah, I feel like they should have went with a younger actress if this character was supposed to be 15.
I mean, especially since they're going to age her, like 10 years in 6 months? I mean, so she'd almost be the same age she is in real life.
Yeah. But they're... Are they keeping the same actress?
No.
Yeah, so
they're keeping everybody the same except for Alicent and Rhaenyra.
All right. Like, doesn't that make you wonder why they didn't just go with an age-appropriate... Because Alicent also doesn't look... I mean, actually, we don't know if she's supposed to be 15, but I'm assuming they're the same age, right?
Yeah, it would make sense, yeah.
And she was born in 2003, so she is... Wow. She's got 3 years younger, so she's at least age-appropriate for the character.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I don't know. I just found it weird, but whatever. I'm nitpicking at this point.
It's okay. It's okay. So we get some, character development between the two of them in the sept. Then we go to Viserys meeting with Corlys and Rhaenys, his cousin. So they blunt up and say the realm is weak and suggest that the king marry their daughter, Laena.
Yeah, this is going to lead to an awkward scene.
Yeah. Okay, so then we go to the king and his daughter dining, trying to break the ice, being really awkward with each other, apologizing for suggesting to burn the enemies of the kingdom. I mean, maybe that's just like a female Targaryen thing.
Yeah.
Like, burn them all.
We got dragons. Why not just burn everybody, okay? Come on.
I mean, Daenerys is going to do it.
Yeah.
So, they open up a little bit, but not to the extent I think either one of them want. But it seems like maybe like a little conciliatory kind of dinner between the two of them.
Until the very end, where he completely just cuts her off and shuts her down. And he's like, nope, you'll learn. And, like, that was it. It was kind of like they made progress, and then immediately he's like, I think we're taking things too fast. Let's pump the brakes.
Yep. So then we find out that the little cut that the king got in episode 1 on his hand from the throne is like septic, and they're using maggots to eat the dead flesh around it.
But they still haven't touched on the spot on his back, right? That hasn't been touched on since, right?
Yeah. Well, we didn't see it. No.
Okay. I enjoyed the whole maggot idea. Like,
well, I mean, that's what they did. Like, I mean, I think the first time I remember seeing something like that was Gladiator.
Gladiator.
Lived
Good stuff.
It needs to heal. So he tells Hightower of Corley's plan, and the Grand Maester says, that's the smartest thing that you could do. And we go to the king walking in the garden with Lena, who looks like she's about 6 years old, and just makes me super fucking uncomfortable. That your parents would pimp you out like
uncomfortable.
That.
Yeah. I can't think of a more uncomfortable scene in this whole franchise's history other than this. I just sat there, I was like, I kind of want this scene to be over with. I don't know what's going to come of this, but I don't like it.
And we get a little background on some of the other dragons that we haven't seen or heard of, so that's cool. And she gives a speech, and he's like, did your parents tell you to say that? And she's like, yes. He's like, what else did your parents tell her? And she's like, well, I wouldn't have to sleep with you until I'm 14.
Yep. Yeah, I wrote all of this down in detail, and it was just weird, but once again, I focused on the hair game, so at least I have my priorities straight. Yeah.
So yeah, that's just uncomfortable. Then we go to a scene with Rhaenys and Rhaenyra talking, and I like this one because you see that, like, neither one of them get where they're coming from, but both of them are right.
So
yeah,
with Rhaenyra, like, it's funny because, like, she in her mind thinks, oh, well, I should have been queen or whatever, and I get this, like, vibe that even though she may have had the bloodline for it, people really just don't like her as a human being. Is that the same vibe you get?
No, not at all.
No? Okay.
No, she's the one who sees what is going to happen because, hey, hindsight, we know that it happens. And Rhaenyra just doesn't fucking get it. She thinks that, oh yeah, I got named heir, so everybody's going to just obey me because I'm the heir. When Rhaenys was in the same boat, she was the one who actually should have been queen, over Viserys. And then the entire realm showed up to say, nope, we'll take a dude with a less legitimate claim to the throne than you over a woman.
It makes all the sense in the world, quite frankly.
So, she's speaking from, the negativity that she's already experienced herself, and
but do you think she's well liked, though? I just never feel like anybody really likes listening to anything she has to say other than Corlys.
Well, have you ever seen her talk to anybody other than, the Baratheon, asked for her favor?
I am making broad assumptions based on nothing other than assumptions.
Yeah, and we haven't. I doubt she has much of a presence at court except through Corlys, since he's on her husband and on the Large Council.
Fair enough. Maybe she's actually a decent character. I don't know. I keep getting this weird vibe, and it'll probably never pay off in my mind. But you know what? I have made other grand assumptions that sometime in the future come true. So that's my bold prediction: is that people really don't like her.
Well, I think that if people didn't like her, Viserys would be one of them, considering that they were rivals. But the fact that he seems to genuinely enjoy her more than Corlys. Yeah. Yeah, when they show up, he's like, oh, cousin, and your husband.
Yeah, that is a valid point. Now you're just raining on my parade.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
You're raining on my Rhaenyra and Rhaenyra parade.
Maybe we can get like a third Rainier. Or raining on the rain in Spain. Anyways.
Can we get Roman Reigns a cameo?
Maybe. So we go from that scene to...
The scene cracked me up, actually, this next scene. I don't know why.
Viserys talking to Alicent about Lena. She gives him a gift of the dragon model that he broke earlier. And then her dad shows up and is like, hey, we've got a small council emergency session. You got to talk about... Can't tell you what's going on. We got to wait till you get there to bring it up again.
Am I the only one that found it kind of funny, just like the childlike wonder that Viserys had, like playing with the statues and stuff?
Nope. It's boys playing with toys.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. I don't know. I find it. I like how so into the character he is. Like he just totally sells me on this.
Dude, it was like he was playing Dark Souls and she fixed his controller for her. For him. You know?
Here's a new one. Now your RT will work. Yay!
Yay! I can finally beat Elden Ring. So they go into the small council emergency session, and we find out that Prince Daemon has stolen the dragon's egg, and his second wife, who turns out to be what was her name?
Mysaria.
Mysaria is pregnant and needs the egg to lie with the baby. So everybody's incensed that he snuck in and stole an egg, and he's been staying at Dragonstone, which is supposed to be the heir's castle. And
I have two questions.
Go ahead.
All right, one, Dragonstone, is that where, like, in, like, the final season, like, Tyrion and, like, Daenerys, like, they were there for a little bit, right? Like, plotting stuff?
Oh, okay. So, Dragonstone was Stannis' fortress at the beginning of the show, and we saw him a couple times. Like, that's where Melisandre burnt the things with the blood to send out after with what's his name's blood to send out after Renly and Joffrey, and so that's where they were. And then yes, when she finally got to the Seven Kingdoms, that was where she stayed, and so that's where she met Jon, and that's where a lot of the councils and stuff were going on until she finally advanced on the north and then King's Landing.
Okay, that's why I was fairly certain, but then I can't ever trust my memory. My other question is, does Daemon have any right to the eggs? Like, since he's a kind of royalty in some way or related to royalty, like, does he have any kind of birthright to at least, like, a dragon egg, or is it strictly for whoever's in charge?
No. I mean, he's got a fucking dragon. He has a right. I think it's more along the lines that, like, he didn't ask. He's living in a place that he shouldn't be. He defied the will of the king that he go back to his wife in the Vale. Then he steals one, again, without asking. And not only does he steal one, but he steals the one that was destined to be the king's son who died. It's dragon. So, I mean, all
that
of that compounding,
Yeah, okay. I did find that whole funny, like, which one in particular did you take? Vale.
Well, and, like, nobody asked until Rhaenyra asks. So, I mean, it's good to see that nobody pays attention, and they're... And, like, Viserys is kind of like, oh, no, it's okay. And then he finds out that, which one, an insult to him, and he's like, fucking go kill that.
Yeah, like, you could have picked, Pony Express. No, you picked Dreamfire.
Yeah. And then you can also see another example of how the political situation's whacked when the king's like, I'm going to go get it back, and his hand's like, nope, you're not going. Can't let you go.
Yeah, like, he really gave up pursuit really fast. He's like, oh, well, my rage is over. Yeah, you guys can just go and die, and
yeah, have
whatever.
Fun. Have fun. Start a war.
I will go back to playing my statues now. That's exactly what he really did. It was like he was pissed off, and then immediately some other opportunity came up. He's like, oh, I can go back to playing my toys? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Good on him.
Plotting which 12-year-old I want to marry.
Oh, God. I hope that never happens again. I don't need any more scenes with Viserys and Laena. I don't. No.
All right, so then we go to Hightower leading a group to Dragonstone, and I think that this was really well shot, this whole next scene.
Wait, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Why was it such a big deal that Otto called Alicent comely.
What do you mean?
I don't know. It just felt like they emphasized that, and I was just like, I don't know. Like, it just seemed weird to me. That's all. I don't know. I made note of it. Whenever I make notes, it seemed to me that something's important, but maybe there's no importance to it.
Probably leading up to what happens at the end, maybe.
Yeah. Also, I enjoyed how Sir Kristen just ended up coming along.
Yep. All right, so we got a really well shot scene where they're heading up to Dragonstone. They're on like this stone bridge. I think I saw something like that was used somewhere in The Mandalorian. I don't know. I mean, to get back on track. Daemon comes out to meet them for a parley with a bunch of the gold cloaks that he's taken with him. Hightower, just like, we're going to fuck you up, dude. You're going to get arrested. You seem to be, Daemon has his men pull swords. They pull swords, and Daemon's dragon appears behind Hightower's guys, so it's not looking good for the home team. And then Rhaenyra comes shooting out of the sky on her dragon.
We don't know Daemon's dragon's name, right? We know Syrax's.
They said something. They mentioned it in the first episode, but I don't remember.
Oh, okay. By the way, the whole him calling Sir Kristen Sir Crispin.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that line.
Yeah, the two of them talking shit to each other. So Rhaenyra walks up to him, confronts her uncle, talks to him in Valyrian, Old Valyrian, which I don't believe any of the other people there could understand. And then somehow she's able to tell that the pregnancy is a lie. And he smirks at her, tosses her the egg. I was really proud she caught it because, he fucking whisked that thing at her.
He really did. And she was just like, that was a heads-up play on her part.
Yeah.
I mean, had she not caught it, or how sensitive are dragon eggs?
I would have assumed that would have probably been war.
Yeah. By the way, I also like the balls on Otto. He's like, Sir Kristen, you get the princess and get her out here. I mean, she's of no help. She just came on a dragon.
Yeah.
Otto, man. It's great. I don't know. That was good.
So she flies away with the egg. Daemon's upset. He goes and sees Mysaria, who's now upset at him because she finds out, you said we were married. You said I'm pregnant. You're putting me in danger. I'm wondering, is this where the questions that you were asking about her come into play?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, go ahead and ask them, and we'll ponder together.
All right. So that would have been question 4? Yeah. I don't understand. I didn't understand Daemon's whole strategy other than to just piss people off. But why was he also? I don't know what the whole game is with Mysaria, and I feel like he just pissed off one of his closest people. And she's a whore, so she's got insight on stuff. I don't know. People just think whore's a whore, but I don't know. I feel like in Westeros, whores got all kinds of info. So, did he just I don't know, screw himself over?
I mean, you got to figure out why is he doing this. He wants fucking hugs from his brother.
Well,
that's what he fucking. That's his motivation. He doesn't want to be king. He wants to be his brother's hand. And he's butthurt that Otto is the hand and he isn't, because you can tell that they fucking hate each other.
Does anybody like Otto aside from Viserys?
Maybe Alicent? I don't.
Maybe, but
yeah.
He did call her comely.
So I don't know, it almost seemed like she was talking about him protecting her and blah blah. So I'm wondering, is that just a commoner being I have no power whatsoever in Westeros, so I need some nobility to protect me, royalty to protect me, or is she implying that she was a slave, but she was nobility herself, somebody important herself in the past? I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know.
I have a feeling that she's going to play a bigger. I think this is like a character that's actually going to grow into be a relatively big character, or she's going to get killed next episode. One or the other. I don't know.
See, I don't know. I mean, the fact that Damon probably isn't going to end up being anywhere near as big a character as everybody expects, because they're expecting this, generation to be the focus, really means that I don't think side characters around Tim are going to end up becoming big characters.
That's my concern, and they crafted Damon so well that I'm already disappointed if he doesn't have a big enough role moving forward, which probably he's not going to, which...
See, I mean, the only thing I don't know is, from Rhaenyra's standpoint, after her father dies, Damon would be, the best person to ally with in order to obtain... the throne, but would he want to? I don't know.
Well, plus we don't even. Well, I don't know how this whole. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead, but what's coming in episode 3? I don't even know how that plays out.
Yeah, for sure. So she's upset at Damon, although I don't think she's super upset because, again,
no,
he's her sugar daddy.
Yeah, I don't think she's that mad.
So Viserys goes to one of his small council, Lord Strong, for advice, and he says, the Corlys marriage is the best strategic idea that you could make for the kingdom. Rhaenyra returns. Viserys is angry. She acted without approval. He told her not to, but then he's proud of her. She saved the realm. She got the egg back. They discuss the marriage, and she tells him she understands the need. And this seems to kind of smooth over the earlier conversation they had around the dinner they had together.
How the hell did the princess, the heir, manage to escape on a dragon and nobody saw this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, how that happened. Nobody saw it. Nobody saw a giant dragon flying into the sky. Nobody?
Well, I mean, let's put it this way, too. In order for... Damon's been hanging out at Dragonstone, right? So in order for him to get to the dragon pit to steal the egg, he would have had to fly his dragon in, land his dragon, walk off his dragon, walk into there, steal the egg, walk back out, and hop back on his dragon and fly away, and nobody... they just let him do that, too. I mean, so...
And, okay, are the Dragon Keepers just a bunch of old, Shaolin monk-type guys? Are they actually badasses, or are they just peaceful guys that put eggs in cauldrons? Because I didn't understand, why these are the guys.
I imagine they're farmers. If you need the dragon milked, they're good for it.
They didn't seem like very good protectors. I'm sitting there these are the guys you have protecting the dragons?
Well, I mean, that probably explains why there's 17 dragons now, and within 2 generations there's only 4. And then by the time Daenerys is born, there's none.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there okay, so if the Hound was alive, or the Mountain, either one of them could have went in and just took all the eggs without any problem. Euron could have went in and got all the eggs without problem.
Dude, the way it's seeming is Tyrion could have gone in and gotten
Tyrion could have gone... Sansa Stark could have gone in. It just... I don't know. I guess I expected more out of the Dragon Keepers. I expected, some old guys and some young guys. I don't know. It seemed so weird to me.
Yeah. So I don't know. So then we go to the King's Council. Viserys says he'll take a new wife, and he names Alicent Hightower as his new wife.
Dude, that was shocking.
Corlys is upset and says some shit, and Viserys reminds him who is king. And, this is the part I didn't understand, because it seemed to me that, Rhaenyra and him had come to an understanding, right in the previous scene, and then she gets pissed off and leaves, probably because she's in love with Allison as well. But, that's just through hints and suppositions.
Yeah, I found it. I found the reactions to the scene a little weird. I mean, yeah, if you read into it enough, you can come to some conclusions. But I don't know. I'm sitting there like, all right. In my head, I'm thinking, all right, he's not going to be able to bed Lena for 2 years minimum, and who knows how long before she's going to be able to birth a child. Meanwhile, you have this girl that he could immediately impregnate, and she can potentially deliver a baby. I don't understand why there's much blowback on making the choice if the whole thing, the whole objective is to have protection in case Rhaenyra dies and Viserys dies. Like, you want protection for that bloodline as soon as possible. Why was... I don't know. Like, am I overthinking this?
Well, from who? Like...
I'm just saying, like...
Like, the only people I understood to be upset were Corlys, which makes sense because he wanted his daughter to marry, and that would have given him, political advantage. And then Rhaenyra. I think everybody else was kind of, yay! The king's getting married.
See, I didn't know if everybody else was happy because I still get the feeling that nobody likes Otto.
I have a feeling that, like, most of the council is more his than the king's.
Oh. Well, then if that was the case, then yes, everybody would be yay.
I don't necessarily think they're like, yay, this is amazing, but more like, yay, the king is finally listening to us and taking an heir so we don't have to put this woman on the throne.
And, I mean, really, that's the huge obligation right there. That's the big thing is now we don't have to put a woman in charge. So, good on them for that.
So then we end. So Corlys is talking to somebody, gives us a little background on his family, how they didn't have dragons, so even though they're nobility in Old Valyria, they had to claw for what they want. And then it turns out to be Daemon he's talking to, and he wants his help against the crab feeder because he says defeating him would give Daemon, respect and adoration in order to press his own self forward for whatever, to become heir again.
It moves both of their objectives. Yeah.
He's right in the fact that, like, if you kill trade in Westeros with, that basically would be the death knell of the kingdoms. So,
well, not only that, I mean, especially if you take away the trade via ships, and the whole thing is that this guy's the captain of ships or whatever the hell the phrase is. He needs to shut that shit down. Quick question. So Crab Feeder is a Myrish prince. Where is... I'll assume the place is Myr. Is that a place that we know of? Or is that like a nationality in the thing? I don't know what Myrish means in the grand scheme of things. I wasn't sure if it's something you knew.
Give me a second.
Sure.
Oh, isn't that the... Okay, yeah, it's one of the free cities.
Oh, okay, so it's one of the what was it, not Triage, whatever.
Triarchy? Yeah.
Triarchy, there you go.
Myr, Tarash, Lys, and Pentos.
Okay, we know of Pentos from Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah, that was where Viserys and Daenerys started out. Okay.
Yes, okay. Alright, well, there. I had a question and got an answer. Yay. I just love this whole scene, by the way. Like, as much as I liked a lot of scenes in this episode, this trumped them all for me.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the reveal that it was Daemon. Like, even though you knew, like, who else is he going to be talking to?
Yeah.
But it was still a good... I liked the reveal, how they did it. So that was cool. Who are the second sons?
Oh, he's just saying second sons.
Oh.
So, like, first sons, like, Tommen would have been a second son. Or Tyrion would have been a second.
Thinking, like, people like the Gold Cloaks only, like, there's a group called the Second Sons. But, okay. Yeah. Instead of looking at it.
Or Bran. You know, those all would have been examples of second sons. You know, they're not going to inherit because of primogeniture. So they have to go and claw, you know, for whatever they need for themselves.
Have you been sitting on that word for a while?
Primogeniture?
I don't think I've ever used that.
I mean, I've used it before, maybe not on this podcast.
I'm just saying, it feels like a word you may have been sitting on, and good on you for using it. I applaud that. Yeah. What's up with Crabfeet? Like, Crabfeeder has like a mask.
I don't know. I haven't watched any of the previews, so like, you know, we just stopped watching at the end of the episode. So like, I saw you know, like just a YouTube thumbnail with a picture next week in House of the Dragon, and I'm like, whoa, holy shit, we got the Phantom of the Opera coming in, and then I found out that it was the Crabfeeder. So
right.
It looks like he's got the fucking the scale rot, kind of, you know, like his. I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. He looks fucked up.
That was my first
Whatever
guess.
this shit is, he looks fucked up, which probably explains why he's crucifying people for crabs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, crabs help him. He helps crabs. So one of the things I found interesting, because I always try to watch after the episode, not only the preview for next week, but I like the little details that they provide with like behind the scenes stuff. And basically, they heavily implied that Alicent was not playing the game, so to speak. She was just legit trying to be a nice person to Viserys. And I go back and forth on whether I believe that or not. Do you believe she was genuinely just trying to be nice, or do you think in the back of her mind, like, it came up like, oh, maybe I could possibly get the king?
To again direct you to Kent's blog whenever this one goes up about this episode. You asked that question, and I answered. I think the number one answer for this is that she was just doing what her father forced her to, or coerced her to. But I mean, there are hints in her conversations to Rhaenyra in the Garden episode 1, and then in the Septon episode 2, that, you know, like, women are there to breed heirs, you know, and that's their power. And that she would be willing to do that instead of wanting to go off and go on adventures like Rhaenyra wants to. So I don't, like, I'm torn. Yeah, I think mostly she didn't. She was just trying to do what her father told her to, because, I mean, I doubt that she would be eating the shit out of her fucking cuticles and fingernails to the point that she's bleeding if that was something that she really was willing to embrace as a duty. But at the same time, I mean, I think she's smart enough to read between the lines of, like, what he wants to happen. So
I feel like the way that they talked about it after the episode, they almost paint her as like blissfully ignorant, like that this could possibly be an outcome. And I like, no, she has to know this is a potential outcome.
Well, I mean, I think look at it like this: like, she ends up being the one to force the fucking succession issue later on in the future. She's the one who causes the civil war. So.
Yeah.
Do you think, your question is going to be, do you think she goes from being completely innocent to that person, or was there a little of that in her in the first place already?
Yeah, I wonder how much, because, okay, I think she was probably innocent up to a certain point, but how much of her father's influence, because we all get the vibe that Otto is, you know, obviously gunning for things, so how much of her father's influence kind of changed her as she went, you know, into her teenage years? Did it rub off on her, or was she just a, you know, I don't want to say ignorant girl, because she's clearly smart enough to be kind of the tutor to Rhaenyra, kind of. I I don't know. I just felt that she's smarter than they kind of gave her credit for in that little blip at the end. I don't know. That was my take on it. I do think she's smarter at the very least. Maybe she's not playing the game, but she's also not blissfully ignorant. There's no way.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, like I really did like this episode once again, and I will admit I didn't have as much trepidation going into this episode, but yet now I have a different type of trepidation because I don't want to get attached to certain characters that aren't going to be much in play. Like, I have no idea which characters I already know who I'm liking, and I already know, like, I can only speculate that Damon, I don't know, like, is he going to be a main character?
Oh, he's definitely going to be big in this next episode.
Right, but I mean, like, in 3 seasons,
well,
am I going to...
Well, I mean, you never know, and that's life, too. I mean, I don't think there were very many people who didn't like Ned, but, he didn't make it past episode 11. And yet, would you, like, knowing that in hindsight, would you rather not have liked him at all?
No, liking him was the censure to... I don't know if... people still would have liked the series, but I think Ned's death cemented getting people into season 2 to continue to learn. I still feel you could have brought enough audience back if Ned lived, right? But because of his death, because of the way it was, that guaranteed a larger percentage of people were going to tune into season 2.
Yeah, I mean, Game of Thrones really wasn't shocking until that point. I mean, it was good, but that kind of opened people's eyes to the fact that, oh shit, anybody can die in this thing.
I hadn't even heard of Game of Thrones until my other friend Chris, he's like, hey, have you watched this? No. He's like, well, I got it on Blu-ray. You want to just watch it? I was like, sure. Because at that time, we just kind of got rid of cable. So, anything to kind of kill some time was welcome. And, yeah, I think we binged it over the course of a day or two. And was like, yes, I want more of this.
Yep.
So... yeah, I don't know. Damon really is the most intriguing person to me, followed by Mysaria, and at least one of those two people are probably not going to be all that prominent, All
right, I got a question for you, Kent.
Sure.
All right, so in Game of Thrones, we started out even having multiple viewpoints all over the fucking place. Here, so far, even though we've got multiple characters... all of the story is basically fixed in King's Landing. Like, do you think that's going to be a benefit or a hindrance to the show going forward?
I think that's a hindrance if they maintain it too long. For now, it feels almost like a necessity and at least up till the time jump. Once we have the time jump, they do need to move around in different places to give us more characters, because I think in some ways that was like one of the most appealing aspects, is that you had like 100 different characters in Game of Thrones all at once, and yet you were pretty much into at least 90% of them.
I mean, I guess it worked out that even if you didn't like where one story was, pretty soon you'd be in another one. So you had like the King's Landing shit going on in season 1, and then Jon up at the wall, and then Daenerys going over with the with Drogo and everything going on in on that side of the world, and then later on Tyrion stuff where he gets captured and in the Vale, and even then in King's Landing you had multiple viewpoint characters. It wasn't literally just like Rhaenyra, Viserys, maybe Otto. Yeah.
Right, like, once half the episode stops taking place inside the actual castle, like, once it opens up, it'll breathe new life into this, which it doesn't need right at this moment. Obviously, we need to get to that time jump, but after the time jump, we do need to open up the world significantly, because, we just need other people to get to know. I mean, as it is right now, we've seen just a little bit of the crab feeder, and we are very excited for it. And we've seen, 2 minutes of the guy?
Yeah, not only that, but we've, outside of King's Landing, we've gotten, one scene in Dragonstone, and that's it? 2 scenes? One on the bridge and one with Daemon and Mysaria?
And they were great. They were really good scenes. So I guess that's kind of where I'm at, is we definitely need it. They can't just keep residing in King's Landing and hope to keep an audience hungry for it, episode after episode.
And one more question for you.
Sure.
What do you think of the introduction, the new intro?
Oh yeah, I watched that twice. I liked it. I can't sit here and say I liked it as much as Game of Thrones, because that became comfort food in some ways.
Dude, that music comes on and my son will still sit up and just watch it, and like sometimes he'll just put the theme song on YouTube over and just replay it over and over and over again.
It's a great song. It really is. I don't know where it ranks among all-time series songs, because that's obviously all very, very subjective. But I'm glad that they didn't go the route of trying to come up with a new theme song and hoping, this will be equally as good. Mm-hmm. No, the familiarity is great.
Now, what did you think about the actual content of the, barring the music, of the
video aspect? Well, was that supposed to be blood, or was that
so I had to watch it multiple times, and this is one of the reasons why I think it could have been done better. Though all of the things that it's going through that end up raising and lifting up, it's supposed to be blood, are the symbols of the different houses that are related to the Targaryens by blood.
Okay.
But I didn't fucking get that, my first or even my second time watching that, until I saw somebody point it out. I just don't think they did a good enough job of, identifying, this is going through a stag symbol, and this is going through a wolf, kind of shit.
Right. I understand where you're... visually it's pleasing, but yes.
Yeah, it's cool, the couple times it shot through the blood, and, you saw, the blood on the camera as it was going through and stuff, so it was really interesting, but... Yeah, the meaning kind of got lost in translation, and I don't know how they could fix it to make it more easily understood.
I'm not sure because a lot of those symbols are stuff that fans are familiar with to an extent, at the very least.
The only thing I could think of would be maybe putting a 3-dimensional representation on top of each one. So, you've got the stag symbol, and there's a stag on top of it. So when it lifts up, or maybe have it come out when it lifts up, kind of thing.
Yeah, I could see that. Obviously you can always tinker with it after the first season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they will or not, but they obviously can. You just don't want to tinker with something like that, come season 4.
Yeah.
If you want to tinker with it, you do it after season 1.
All right, well, that was it for my questions. I like the episode. Less action, but just as good performances. Some uncomfortable stuff in there for sure.
All right, let's take dragons away. Who wins that fight on the bridge? If we don't have dragons, do you think Daemon wins, or do you think Otto's crew wins?
No, I think Daemon wins for sure.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
There's 20 of Otto, and Daemon's. They said Daemon took 2,000 gold cloaks.
I feel that Daemon alone could do some serious harm to that group of 20 dudes.
Yeah, on the plus side for them, they got Crispin, who just fucks Daemon up in the last episode. But, Otto does. He doesn't look like he's going to be, the number one deciding factor in that fight. So,
yeah, if anything, Otto seems like the guy that has a hidden dagger up his sleeve or something, and that's the only way he ever would win a fight.
Reminds me of a mixture of Tywin and Littlefinger.
Yes. See, that's something that I feel we're missing, and I mean, we don't need it right now, but eventually we need at least one or two super manipulative characters.
I think we got some, but we don't have a Varys. You know, we don't have
yeah.
We don't have a Tyrion.
Right.
Yeah,
we don't have a lot of sharp-tongued characters yet.
We don't have like a Jon Snow. Like, this guy is, you know, all about the honor and shit analog, or a Ned kind of analog either. So we just have a bunch of politicians. Like, Viserys seems like a decent guy, but you can definitely tell he's ruled by his emotions, and, you know, he kind of bends to whichever way the wind goes at the high table. So.
Well, that's the tough part about doing a show in this way, is that you don't want to blow your load on great characters if you're going to have a time jump where some of those characters just aren't going to have the influence. You know, you don't want to waste good characters on, you know, say 3 to 5 episodes. You want to wait till the time jump. So I'm just as curious to see what kind of characters we get.
Yeah,
after
but I mean, we're not talking about like a time jump of like years and years. We're talking about like a decade at the most. So even if you introduced a character now, they'd still be there.
They would. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Am I the only one just looking forward to Lena at some point wreaking havoc?
I mean, her parents might be, but yes, probably just you.
Okay, like I want her to become some warrior princess. She marries some guy and she comes back for vengeance. Like, that's what I want.
I'm sure you could probably hire somebody to write a fanfic of that for you.
I don't even think I'd have to pay if I just toss that idea out there. Be like, come on, somebody wants to do it.
And she goes through a time warp because of Bran, and she meets up with what's her name? Mormont, and the two of them become battle sisters on the back of a dragon, and or one of them rides a dolphin, the other one rides the bear. Yeah.
Oh gosh, we just made magic happen right there. Okay.
Yep.
We just made a whole other spin-off that people want to see, clearly.
Well, I think it's going to be funny is that by the time that people actually hear this, it's probably going to be episode 3 will already be out. So some of these questions that we asked will already be answered.
That's okay. You know, I look at, like, I don't listen to hardly any podcast. I do listen to a little wrestling every once in a while, and it's like, it's the same idea. By the time I'm listening to it, you know, the next episode or the storyline has continued already, and it doesn't really affect. I'm listening to a podcast. Yeah. Like, I want the insight of whoever the host is. Oh, that's kind of where I'm at. So,
Gotcha. Well, again, I had a good time this week. I hope the series is able to continue being good. I mean, that's my biggest hope. You know, let's continue able to entertain me, providing we already know where the end point is.
Yeah, it has plenty to work with, and I just want to continuously feel like every Sunday or Monday, I want to have that feeling of looking forward to it rather than being like treating it almost like work.
Yep.
So hopefully, and I mean, next episode's going to have some. I mean, we're going to jump a little bit in time, not the full jump, but
yeah. I mean, shit. We already had a 6-month time jump, and we didn't even, they didn't even publicize that. So, if they do that every episode, we could just naturally phase in eventually to, the future.
I mean, I assume that we're going to jump close to a year because in the preview showed Allison already had Aegon, I believe.
Oh, so I didn't see that. So,
well, I just ruined it for you.
I wouldn't say you ruined it. I mean, since we knew that was coming.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, as you say, we had the 6-month and 9 to however many months. We don't know, but I'm just going to say a year just for the sake of it. I wonder if we're going to actually have a time jump or if they're going to keep expediting this in bits and pieces. Do we know for a fact that there's going to be an actual, like, substantial 9-year time jump, or do you think that there's a possibility that they just do it in bits and pieces over the first 5 episodes, for example?
I think we're coming up to one soon, because if I remember the IMDb stuff correct, like the actresses who play the 2 adult versions, I think are in like 7 or 8 episodes for the season 1.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, we are nearing that point because there's only 10 episodes.
Yeah, let's see. Find out for certain in just a second.
Okay. It's weird. On IMDb, it's like there's 11 episodes, but no, there's only 10.
Okay,
so I don't know.
So the adult ones are listed for 8 and 9 episodes, and the young ones are listed for 10 episodes. So who the fuck knows? I don't know.
I wonder if we're going to keep having flashbacks, or IMDb doesn't always know either. People have unrealistic expectations of IMDb because, quite frankly, I don't know who can get in and like update this, but it's not just people associated with the show that can come in. Like,
yeah, it's not as bad as like Wikia, but yes,
right. It still could be easily changed without it being factual. But yeah, overall enjoyable. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. Even though I don't know. There's wrestling going on, there's Game of Thrones, and there's also the value of possibly sleeping at some point. So, but...
That'll probably be good.
Yeah. Either way, tomorrow I'll have the podcast up, I'll have the blog up, both blogs up. And then hopefully we'll get Jim for week 3 for the blog. And I haven't gotten anybody else interested in the blog, but to be fair, I never even posted week 1 because of reasons. So hopefully maybe by mid-season, maybe we can get one other person. Like, a 4-person panel is good.
Yep. Sounds good. I mean, I'm trying to talk my wife into doing it. We'll see if she ever actually agrees. I might have to jump through some hoops. But...
Just say Kent really wants you to. That has to hold some weight, right? I mean, she's never met me at all,
sure.
so
yeah, sure,
right.
Sure, Kent.
just be like, Kent has alopecia. Do it for pity. Why not? So, all right.
Yeah, do it for Jada. Kent's got alopecia.
That's right. No more slaps heard around the world. Come on.
Hey, I'll get one in just a second. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in again. You can look this up wherever you download podcasts from, or I think Kent's got some stuff on 9deuce.com. You have the direct download link, right?
Yeah, if you just go to 9deuce.com and you click the blue pill, you'll go right to the podcast stuff.
9deuce with 9 as a number rather than written out. Just a heads up.
Yeah, that really is an important aspect. I wonder how many times people have actually wrote out NINE. And I'm way too cheap to pay for another domain. Like, that ain't happening.
All right, guys. Again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back sometime next week with episode 3. Or episode 29, depending upon what you're looking at.
Right. Yeah. All right. See ya.